Hey everybody, this is Michelle Goldstein with Heart Alchemy Yoga, and today I'm going to teach a short beginner's flow, beginner's yoga with a little bit of yoga flow mixed in. It's inevitable, I'm a flow teacher, so that's going to come into pretty much all of my teaching, but let's get started. First of all, I want to say it takes a lot of courage to try something new, so good on you, good for you. We'll start out in a pose called child's pose. So you'll sit on your heels with your knees bent, just like this, and separate your knees a little bit wide and walk your hands forwards in front of you and rest your forehead down on the ground. And soften your elbows towards the ground if you can, and soften your shoulders. And begin to bring some awareness to your breathing. I think this is the most challenging part of beginning yoga, is learning how to breathe. So you want to breathe in yoga ideally in and out through your nose. So you'll inhale through the nose and exhale through your nose. And rather than sniffing air in, it's more of a drawing in of breath, as if you were taking in the scent of a rose. You want to inhale like that, smooth, and exhale out the nose as well. So making maybe a slight hissing sound like the ocean in the back of your throat as you breathe. And ideally staying with this deep, smooth breath for the duration of the practice. Okay, and then we're going to come up to all fours here, your hands and knees position. And I suggest the hands under the shoulders and the knees under your hips. So take a look and make sure your knees are hips distance apart, your hands are shoulders distance apart, and your wrists are either in line with the front edge of your yoga mat or turned out a little bit. Just be mindful that your wrists are not turned in or your hands are not turned in, because that can be very tweaky on the shoulders. So we want to keep the shoulders open and the shoulders down the back. And on an inhale, drop your belly down and arch your back to cow pose, is what it's called. Okay, and as you exhale, round through your spine to cat and push the floor away from you. Okay, as you inhale, arch your back, slide the shoulders down your back so that you're not scrunching up in the neck at all. And as you exhale, round through your spine. And a few more times here. Inhale, arch your back to cow. And exhale, round through your spine to cat pose. Okay, and one more time. Inhale, arch your back. And exhale, round into cat. Okay, now inhale to a neutral spine. So you're in a tabletop position. You're not in an arch and you're not rounding. It's just neutral. The belly hugs in a little bit. And then tuck your toes under. Make sure the wrists are still aligned. Tuck your toes under. And start to lift the knees up off the ground. Keep your knees a little bent to start. Okay, we're coming into downward dog pose. The arms are straight as you can get them without locking the elbows. Right, and the knees still bent. You start to push up out of your shoulders. And then maybe you start to straighten your right leg, right heel towards the ground. Take a few deep breaths here into the back of the right leg. And if your heel doesn't touch the ground, it's totally natural, so that's fine. Doesn't have to. Lift the right heel up. And still breathing, press the left heel down towards the ground. And take a couple of deep breaths into the back of the left leg. Belly still firming in. And both heels up, up, up. And Both heels press down to the ground, or, you know, in the direction of the ground, right? And just take a few deep breaths here. So I know for me, when I started yoga, downward dog was a very challenging pose. So just see if you can take just 2 more deep breaths. Even if it's a little uncomfortable, start to push up out of your shoulders to activate the stretch. And then just gently walk your hands backwards to your feet. Put a little bend in your knees if you need to. It's okay if your hands don't touch the ground. Put a little bend in your knees, everybody. And then either grab a strap or a towel behind your back with both hands, or interlace your fingers behind your back, whichever feels better. Stretch the arms overhead. So sometimes I'm reluctant to film these videos because just bear in mind that I've been practicing for 15 years. And so when I demo something, it might look a little different than when you're actually practicing it at home. That's fine and natural. We're here to honor our bodies. It doesn't matter what the yoga teacher looks like in the yoga video, but it can be really helpful for physical alignment. Okay, so go ahead and release your hands down. That's why I'm demoing right here. And walk yourself back out to downward dog. So just to bear in mind, okay, so the postures are intended to fit your body. Your body is not intended to fit the pose. So in other words, there's no forcing in yoga. It's not supposed to look like anything in particular. Just get your hands and your feet aligned and start to push up out of your shoulders. There's a million, at least, alignment points in these postures. There's so much to learn. Be right where you are. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and set your knees down on your mat and sit back into child's pose. And just take a few breaths here. So we're doing super beginners today, and that is great. Like I said, it takes a lot of courage to try this, and so you're just breathing. And then when you're ready, come on back up to downward dog. Okay, and then from here, go ahead and slowly step your right foot up to the front of your mat. And if you need to, you can take your hand and assist your foot up to the front of your mat. And then sit your hips down a little bit so that you're in a runner's lunge position. Okay, the right knee at a 90-degree angle. So you don't want the knee over the ankle. If you need to, take a longer step back with the left foot and scoot the right leg up more. Just take a couple of breaths here. Good. And then step back to downward dog pose on the back toes. Press the heels down. And then step the left foot up to the front of your mat. And again, if you need to, you can assist your foot up. So there's going to be a flexibility that's going to help you step through, and some strength as well. So these things will build with practice. Sit your hips down a little bit. Hug the inner thighs together. That's the best way to get better at yoga, is just to practice more. Just a couple of breaths here. Isometrically hug the inner thighs together, which will help to release your lower back. Your belly firm for support. Step back to downward dog pose, downward facing dog. Okay, and then from here, just go ahead and shift your weight forwards to plank, top of a push-up position. And then slowly, with your knees up or down, lower yourself all the way down to the ground. And just take a look at your hands and make sure that your fingers are back by your lower ribs. And press the tops of your feet down. With your shoulders sliding down the back, press your chest up to a little cobra pose. And exhale, lower yourself down to your belly. Okay, so again, press yourself up. Make sure that your elbows are not hanging out to the sides like chicken wings. Hug the elbows in by the rib cage. Press up to cobra. And exhale, lower yourself down to the ground. Okay, one more time. Press yourself up to cobra pose. And exhale, bend the knees, tuck the toes, lift the hips, and press back to down dog. The heels start to press down towards the ground. Good, you guys. And then again, walk your hands backwards to your feet. And this time, a little bend in the knees, hands to your hips, come all the way up to stand. Good. Okay, and then from here, we're just going to take a wide stance. So you're going to step to the center of your mat and take a wide stance with your feet. And by wide, I mean if you take your arms out to your sides, approximately you want the wrists and the ankles stacked on top of each other. Okay, take a look at your feet. Make sure that your feet are parallel, the outer edges of your feet. You don't want the feet turned out because that can be pinchy in the lower back. Okay, so from here, I'm just going to have you take your right foot, turn your right foot out 90 degrees. So you look down at your back foot, you can even turn it in a little bit. So the back toes turn in, the front foot, the right foot turns towards the front of your yoga mat. Okay, and then outer right foot in line with the right edge of your mat. Okay, arms up like wings, bend your right knee. Okay, this pose is called Warrior Two pose. Soften your shoulders away from your ears. And if you need to take a little bit longer stance to sit down into it, do that. And then open the right knee to the right just a little bit so that the knee is not collapsing inwards, because that's a common thing for the knee to collapse in like this. Open the right knee to the right. Energize that left arm. The left arm is out of sight but not out of mind as you look over your right middle finger. Good, and then press your right leg straight. Lower your arms. Turn your right foot in. Turn your left foot out to the back of your mat, or I'm assuming it's the back of your mat. Now it's the front of your mat. Okay, arms up. Bend the left knee. It's called Warrior Two pose. The shoulders slide down the back, belly in, left hip lifts a little bit so the hips are level towards the floor. You're still breathing deeply. Okay, and then press your left leg straight, turn your left foot in. Good, so take a look at your feet. Make sure your heels are in one line, the feet are parallel, and just go ahead and bend forwards at the hips. You can take your hands, if you can reach the floor, grab the floor. If you can't reach the floor, you could maybe grab the outer legs. Let your head drop to any degree. So if you're still opening and your body's not super flexible, that's just remember that's exactly why you're doing this right now. Or maybe not the only reason, but it will help improve your range of motion, this practice, but it doesn't happen in one practice. For me, it took years before I could touch my toes in a standing forward bend. So just for perspective, we're just practicing being cool with what's happening in our bodies and working with what we have. Okay, then bring your hands to your hips. With a flat back, belly in, come on up to stand. Good. And then turn your right foot out again. Align your foot just like you did before for Warrior Two. Rebend your right knee, Warrior Two pose. Okay, and then from here, take your right elbow to your right thigh, your left hand to your left hip. Okay, we're moving into side angle pose, a little bit of a hip stretch. Open the right knee to the right and hug the right hip into center. So there's a tendency to stick your butt out in this pose. Hug it into center. Reach the left arm up to the sky. And then maybe you take the left arm over the left ear. Slide the shoulders down the back. Firm the belly in. And bend that right knee. Deep breath through your nose. You can look down. You can look forwards. You can look up with your neck. But the important thing is to breathe deeply. And to make sure that it's comfortable enough in your body that you can breathe peacefully. Good. Okay, and then go ahead and come up Warrior 2. Press your right leg straight. Turn your right foot in. Turn the left foot out. Align your feet. It's important. Make sure your back toes are turned in just a little bit. Bend your left knee. Left elbow to the left thigh. Right hand to the right hip. Right shoulder draws back. Right arm up. And maybe the right arm over the right ear. Deeply breathing, deeply breathing. And press the outer edge of your right foot. Press it down. It will help create some counter strength. It will help to support you so that your front leg, your left leg, isn't working too hard. Good. One more breath, you guys. And come up to Warrior 2. Press the left leg straight. Turn the left foot in, and again, fold down the middle. Also, if you have a yoga block, I think that if you plan on doing any amount of yoga, maybe getting into it, definitely get a block. They cost $20 or something like that, not expensive. Will make a huge difference in your practice. So you could take your hands to a block here if you can't reach the floor. It will help your body relax into the stretch. And take your shoulders away from your ears. And come back up to stand, hands to your hips. Come on up. Okay, and one more standing pose for today. Turn your right foot back out, just like we've been doing. Make sure the right edge of your foot is in line with the right edge of your mat. The arms out. Again, this time the legs are actually straight instead of the right knee bent. Both legs are straight. Reach forwards with the right arm. Hug that right hip into center. So you want to tilt the hips back and take the right hand to the right leg. If you're using a block, maybe you take it to the block. And some of you maybe reach down for your ankle or to the floor. But there's a tendency, so we're in triangle pose, this one's called. There's a tendency to stick your butt out and lean forwards in this pose. Be mindful that you're doing the opposite of that. You want to hug the right hip into center and lean the upper back a little bit. And get some length through both sides of your torso and firm the belly for support. If you can, also flex your thighs, make muscles with the fronts of your thighs, then do that. That will help to release your hamstrings. Good, and then go ahead and come on up to stand. Just doing kind of short holds today. Turn the right foot in, turn the left foot out. Align your feet, the back foot's turned in. It's very important. Arms out, reach forwards. That left hip hugs into center, and then take the left hand down, the right arm up to the sky. The kneecaps lift up so the quadriceps engage, the belly firm. Shoulders slide down the back. Be mindful of your breathing. Good, you guys. Come on up to stand. Turn the left foot in. One last time. Fold forwards down the middle. Let your head drop. Get your shoulders away from your ears. Again, there's so much to learn. I'm still learning new things every day. And I've been practicing every day for 15.5 years. So just bear that in mind. You can't learn everything all at once, but you can learn breath by breath and moment by moment, which is really the practice of yoga anyways. So from here, bring your hands to your hips, come up to stand, and walk your feet together. Walk your feet together, and go ahead and sit all the way down onto the ground. And actually go ahead and come onto your back And lie on your back with your knees bent and your feet hips distance apart. So hips distance, like look at how wide your hips are and bring your feet to that distance. So people have a tendency to go wider or narrower than that. So just bear that in mind, right? Parallel your feet. There's a tendency to turn the feet out. Parallel your feet. Isometrically engage the inner legs. And then bend your elbows with your fingertips pointing straight up towards the sky by your sides, elbows by the sides of your body. And then press the elbows down, press your feet down, and roll your hips up into what's called bridge pose. So in bridge pose, you want to press the elbows down, walk the shoulder blades together under your back. And if it feels good to you, you could release the hands down or interlace the fingers behind your back. But do press the feet down, press the elbows down, lift the hips up. And take a couple of breaths here into the upper back. Maybe you walk the elbows and the shoulders in a little closer if that feels good. Go ahead and check that out. Good, and just one more breath here. Okay, and then unroll the shoulders, lower your spine down, and just rest for a moment. Okay, and then 2 more poses, okay? Cross your right ankle over your left thigh. This is a good one. I teach it a lot. Lift the left knee up off the floor. Your right hand goes through this triangle between your legs. And both hands reach for the outside of the left, either hamstrings or some of you, maybe you can grab your left shin. That's fine. If your head is way up here and you can't get your head down, then I suggest that you put a block under your head or a pillow or something so that you can relax your head down. Do flex your right foot. And this is a good one to practice regularly. In fact, this short video is very simple in my opinion. It's really just beginner's poses. Not even a lot of flow. I said that we were going to do flow. It's very simple actually, not really any flow. But we find the flow of our breath. And this is a really great intro to just get you started. If you can commit to doing this a couple times a week, you'll be advancing in no time into more rigorous practices or learning new things if you're interested in that. Okay, so go ahead and release your hands, release the leg, uncross the right ankle, cross the left ankle over the right thigh, lift your right foot up, left hand through the triangle between your legs, and you grab onto that right hamstring or the right shin with both hands. Flex the feet, soften the shoulders, take a couple of very deep breaths. Relax your jaw, relax your brow. Okay, and go ahead and release this one. And hug your right knee into your chest, straighten your left leg towards the floor. Lower your right arm to the floor next to you. And take your right knee over to the left side. So you're just taking an easy twist here. The knee doesn't have to touch the ground, but do keep your right shoulder on the ground. Good, and then come back to center. Hug your left knee in, right leg straight, and take a twist to the other side. And allow your left shoulder to sink towards the ground. And come back to center. Hug your knees into your chest. And just go ahead and lie down onto your back with your legs either straight, or you can keep the knees a little bent and the knees together if that feels better for your back. Either way, release your arms to the ground And allow your body to rest for at least a couple of minutes to allow the effects of the practice to settle into your body. And so again, rest for as long as you like. When you're done, you can bring yourself gently up to sit and just close your eyes for a moment and notice how you feel. Bring your palms together in front of your heart and thank yourself for your dedication. Thank yourself for your courage to practice and to try yoga. In yoga, we say namaste. It means the light in me sees the light in you. So namaste, you guys. And again, this is Michelle Goldstein with Heart Alchemy Yoga. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. Please like, share, and comment on the video if you're moved to do so. And also follow us here at Heart Alchemy Yoga. We have new classes, beginners classes, and more advanced practices, meditation practices, flow videos, all different lengths for you to practice to anytime. So please follow us here. Thank you so much, you guys.